Hey and welcome back to another Darkfall 3D print tutorial. So today we're going to be doing another Suzanne print. We're going to be doing an angel and demon. So the first thing we need to do is go over to the scene tab, then go down and make sure the units are in millimeters. Then also we can select any camera and any default cube that's in the scene, go ahead and delete them. Now instead of adding the monkey mesh like we did in previous tutorials, what I'm going to do is use a pre-made monkey mesh. So if you want to download this too, I'll throw a link in the description. For the final models, the angel and demon, I'll also leave a link in the description so you can go ahead and download that too. So to bring the base mesh in, what I'm going to do is go to File, then go down to Append. Then you need to navigate to where you saved your file, so when you download the link, make sure you remember where you saved this to. Then you want to go to the object. It should be named Suzanne Clean. There'll only be one object in the file, so go ahead and append that. So the difference between this and the one that you get within Blender is the only thing I did was just join the eyes. So if we select this object and tab into it, we can see that the eyes are connected to the head mesh. So now for this, we're going to create two of them. So let's go ahead and duplicate this. So Shift D and then press X just to move it over on the X axis. And then let's go ahead and hide it for now. So this first one, let's start with the angel since it's going to be the most basic and the quickest to do. So for this, I'm just going to change a few facial features and also add a halo. So let's Shift A, go to cylinder. Since it's far too big, let's scale this down. Something like this, bring it up. Let's jump to front view by pressing number pad 1. And then press 5 to go into orthographic view. Now let's scale this on the Z, so press S, Z, and just scale this down. I want to make it wider on the X and the Y, but I want to keep it the same on the Z. So I'm going to press S to scale, then I'm going to hold Shift and then press Z, and then we can see it'll scale up on. I'm going to do that again, but I'm just going to jump to front view first. So S, Shift, Z. Something like that would be good. So let's go ahead and tab into edit mode, go to face select. I'm going to select this face and Shift right click, select this face as well. Now I'm going to press E to extrude and then I'm going to right click so it doesn't move. Then I'm going to press S to scale it. Somewhere like this should be good. And now press X and then delete faces. Now if we go to edge select mode and then select this edge, if we hold Alt and then right click on this edge here, so hold Shift, hold Alt and then right click on this edge, and if we hit spacebar we can type bridge. We just want to bridge these edge loops, so it's just added the faces there for us. Now let's add a loop cut, so Ctrl R, and we want to add one here, just left click and then left click again. And let's do the same for this edge, so Ctrl R, left click, left click. Now since we've already got this one selected, let's scale this up, so press S to scale. We also want to press Shift and then Z, just to constrain it on the Z axis again. We just want to bring this out some, maybe about here. And do the same for this one, so hold Alt, right click on this edge, S, Shift, Z. I just want to bring this out a bit like so. Now we've already got this one selected, so hold Shift, hold Alt, and then right click on this edge. So we've got both of these sharp edges selected. Now if we press Ctrl and B, we're going to add a bevel just to this edge, and then as we drag the mouse out, we can see we add a bevel. And you can increase the middle mouse wheel to add some more geometry. Still a bit too big, so let's press A, S, and then Z. So now we have this, doesn't look too bad. Let's add a subsurf modifier, so go over to the modifiers tab, down to subdivision surface, increase this to 2. Let's also press T, and go to smooth shading. That's a pretty simple halo shape. We're also going to add maybe a stand, and bring this down, and then sort of bend it. But let's go ahead and change some of the things on this head mesh first. So tab into edit mode. One thing to save us a little bit of time, we can actually delete half of this and then add a mirror modifier. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Press 1 to go to front view. Press A to deselect everything. I'm going to press Z to go into wireframe view. Then I'm going to press B to use the box select tool. And just left click and drag. I want to select half of this mesh like this. Press X to delete, and we just want to delete the faces. So we have half of the mesh left. And now if we go to the modifiers, add a mirror. And we also want to make sure the clipping is enabled, just so these two halves are joined. So now when we go back into edit mode, we can edit this, and we only need to worry about one half of the mesh rather than both sides. So it saves us a little bit of time. So I'm just going to change a few of these things and make it look a little bit better. Maybe a bit more friendlier. And maybe the smile as well, make the mouth a little bit bigger and a bigger smile. So nothing too major, just changing a few things. I'm just going to click these vertices here. I'm also going to enable the proportional editing by pressing O. And press G. I'm just going to bring this smile right out. I mean, that should be good for the angel looking Suzanne. Again, let's throw on a subsurf modifier. Make this 2. I'm going to add the details for the eyes like we did in previous tutorials. So I'll just tab into edit mode, ctrl R to add a loop cut. I'm going to add one here, another one right next to it here. And I'm going to add 2 for the pupils, like so. Just to give it a bit more definition. Also press T, give that smooth shading, and we have an angel. So when I print this out, I'm going to glue this to the model. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of a stick or a support. So let's go to face select, and we'll probably need to add another ring, so ctrl R. Make sure we turn off proportional editing, and if we hold control and press numpad 7, we can go to the bottom view. So if we select face select mode, I want to select these two faces here like this. I'm going to press E to extrude, and then I'm going to press E to extrude again, and then left click, then press S to scale, and then I'm going to press E to extrude again, bring this all the way down to about here, and then I'm just going to add some loop cuts just to tidy this up, so ctrl R. It's a little bit too chunky, so let's scale this down. I'm going to go to face select mode. I'm going to select these bottom faces here like this. Let's turn on proportional editing again. Now I'm going to press S and X, and as we do that, we can see it scales it on the X-axis. But it should also do it for this section as well. But there's no geometry. There's only 2 faces here. So let's go ahead and add some more loop cuts. So Ctrl R. This many loop cuts should be good. So right click twice. Let's go back and select this again. So now when we press SX and we increase the middle mouse wheel, we can taper this this edge here like so. It's not too bad. Let's bring this over here. We'll select this ring by holding Alt and right clicking, and then if we hold Control and then plus, we just increase the selection. Just want to increase it to about this much here like this, and then if we go back to the side view and we start dragging this out with proportional editing enabled, we can just kind of center this so it's like this, and you can refine this edge if you want. You can change it, but I think that looks pretty good. And again, I'm going to be gluing this to the model, so maybe it'll be a good idea to add a bit of an edge here. So now we have this, I'm going to add a base plate at the end, so when we do both of them at the same time, but for now we can call that one done. So press Alt and H to unhide it. I'm just going to save everything right now. And let's work on the demon. So the demon is going to be pretty much the same thing. I'm just going to add a couple of horns to the to the top. I'm going to change the face a little bit, maybe change the eyes, and maybe give this a bit of a different facial expression. So let's go ahead and do that. Tab into edit mode. I'm going to do the same thing where I add a mirror modifier for this. So I'm going to go to the front view, deselect everything, press Z to go to wireframe. Make sure we're in vertex select mode, just so it's easier. Then press B, just select half of this mesh here. X to delete faces, mirror modifier, clipping. So same as before, but now for this one, what I'm going to do is go to face select mode. I'm going to select this face here. I'm going to press E to extrude, right click, and then S to scale it. Now, as you can see, since we've got clipping enabled, it's doing this, which I don't want it to do. So I'm just going to Control Z, undo that. First, let's uncheck clipping for now. I'm going to press E to extrude, right click, S to scale. And once we have this, now we can enable clipping again, so the whole mesh is joined together. Press numpad 3, and I'm going to press E to extrude. And then I press E to extrude again. This time I'm going to scale it. E to extrude. And now this is going to be the beginning of the horn. So maybe this is going to get in the way. So I'm going to tab back out of this. And I'm going to select these two objects and just press H to hide them. Now when I press numpad 3 or control numpad 3, goes to either side. I'm going to tab back into edit mode. Now for this, I'm going to press R to rotate. E to extrude, S to scale, R to rotate, and I'm going to keep repeating that until I get a nice shape. E to extrude, R, S. So we have something that looks like that. That's not too bad. Maybe I can move this over a bit more. So since I've got this top face selected, I'm just going to increase the selection by holding Control and pressing the plus button. I'm going to select all of these up until there, then move this over. And I also want to select this one, move it over, like that. So now we've got this, let's go ahead and do the facial features. And for this, I kind of want to make him look a bit more evil, especially around the eyes. So to do that, I'm going to select these edges here. I'm going to press R to rotate. Select, hold shift and then select these ones, R to rotate. See how that looks, more sinister already. And then select these ones, R to rotate. I've got the shape. What I'm going to do is bring out the eyelid. So I'm going to select maybe this edge, select these edges here. I'm going to bring these out. Actually, maybe not this one here. Let's get rid of that one. Do that again. I'm going to bring these right out. Maybe do the same for the bottom, but not as much. And then also maybe change the top of the eyebrow here. And then also change the mouth. I'm going to do the same thing as before, but this time maybe go in the opposite direction. Turn on proportional editing to help make sure we rescale that. Select all of these, press S, Z, just scale this down, and then let's turn him into a sad face. So let's do that now. Okay, so one last thing I want to do before we add this subsurf modifier is change the eyes. Maybe I want to make these into snake eyes, kind of. let's press numpad 1. Let's select these faces here. Press Ctrl plus, increase the selection. Now press S, X, bring this in, kind of like this. Numpad 7, press Z to go to wireframe, kind of fix these, or try to fix these. S, Y, 0, rotate. Let's try and fix these ones as well. S, Y, 0, 7, Z. So again, the links will be in the description if you want to go ahead and download these rather than save yourself a bit of time. That's not looking too bad. If we needed to fix the eyes, when we add the subsurf, we might need to recheck the eyes and make sure that they're still looking good. For now, I think that looks okay. Let's go ahead and apply the subsurf modifier. And again, let's add some definition to these eyes. So Ctrl R to add a loop cut. It's looking okay. The last thing I want to do is maybe add some more definition to the horns. I mean, they look okay, but maybe add some more details to it. I'm going to go into tab into edit mode. Let's first add some more definition to this connection point here. So something like this. And then for these, I want to add some ridges. So let's try and do that now. So between these 2 points, let's add another loop cut, and then this time I'm going to scale this out a bit. So we get something like this. I'm going to do the same thing here, Ctrl R. And again, scale this out. So kind of like bones, or I don't know. It's definitely looking. Definitely looks interesting, and you can always change the pattern and add some different shapes, or make this look really unique. But for this, I think it's pretty good. So now I have that, and let's go ahead and increase the subsurf and press T. Just give this smooth shading. That's definitely looking a lot better. Suzanne definitely looks more like a demon today. Again, you can go ahead and refine this if you would need to. But so let's say we're done. Let's press Alt-H to unhide it. But I do need to add a base for the models to sit on. So let's go ahead and do that now. Go to front view. I'm going to select this model first. Snap cursor to selected. Shift A, add in a cylinder. So again, we need to scale this down. I'm going to scale it on the Z, and then scale it on the Shift Z. I just want to make this maybe a little bit bigger than the ears, and just make sure it's in position. Looks good. Now let's go to the side view, either side by pressing 3 or Control numpad 3, and then I'm going to press A to select everything. So I just want to deselect this plane. If we hold Shift and then right click, we can deselect it. Now for these, I need to press R to rotate, and then just press G to move it. So we have something like that. Now I'm going to press Control numpad 3. And what I want to do is add a support here. So I'm going to select this face, press E to extrude, then right click, S to scale, just drag this down. I'm going to move this over here, and I'm going to press E to extrude again, like so. Now while I have this face selected, what I'm going to do is also select this bottom face here, so Shift, right click, and then I'm going to press N, and I'm just going to increase this mean crease to 1, so when we add the subsurf modifier, the bottom will be flat. So let's go ahead and do that now. Subdivision surface. See, if we didn't add the mean crease, let's just go ahead and turn that off. We'll see what happens. We have these problems here, so we make sure we have the mean crease. it just straightens the edges. And we can go ahead and do the same thing for this edge down here. Actually, I didn't realize we could do down here. We just select this ring around here, and as we increase, you'll see the difference between this. So that's much better. And we could also do the same for this, but instead I'm just going to add a loop cut, ctrl R. Just bring this, because I do want a bit of a bevel on the edge, just to make it look good. So now we have that, let's go ahead and copy it and bring it over to here. So Shift D to duplicate, and right click, select this model, spacebar. Since we already have snap cursor to selected, we might as well use that. Snap cursor to selected, right click on this one, hit spacebar, and now we want snap selection to cursor. So obviously it's going to bring it to the middle, so let's go back here. Let's drag this down. Instead of dragging it down, what we can do, we can select this one, and we know that the location for the Z is -0.5, so let's select this. Press Ctrl C to copy its value. Now if we select this one, let's just paste this in here. It's the same height. Now we have this. So I'm going to add a boolean to this one. So let's go ahead and apply the mirror now. We're done with that. Same thing for this one. We can keep the subsurf. We don't need to apply the subsurf, but let's go ahead and add a boolean. The object, if we select this icon here, we want this to be the platform. Now straight away it's going to show us the intersection, so where both meshes intersect. Instead we want to change this operation to union. There we go. Again, we don't need to apply this, we can export it as it is. Let's just go ahead and do the same for this one, add a boolean, select the base, change it to union. There we go. So now these are ready to export. Down to the size, I'm going to print both of these separately, and then I'm going to print that one as an extra object as well, glue them together, and then obviously we need to clean them up and then paint them. But I think they look pretty good for an angel and demon. If anyone's got any suggestions of what you would like to see, make sure you leave in the comments below. Again, if you want to download these, there'll be a link in the description so you can go ahead and download them. If you enjoyed this tutorial or if you found it helpful, be sure to give it a like. As always, thank you for watching, and see you next time.